Hey everybody, welcome to the show. My name is TruePowerIsMine, and today's date is February the 12th, 2019, and this is a special report. To continue on with the Black History series. All right, hold on. I think that should be good right there. This here is the picture that went kind of viral. It's from WAFB.com. A picture of two young boys, all right, showing patriotism, showing what normal American children do, and it went viral. That is so telling. That's so telling on so many different levels. For one, I just want to congratulate the parents of these two young men to be. I hate saying that because when we refer to young melanated boys as men, even showing them respect, in a lot of minds, it puts bad things. So when something bad happens to them, like say they're 14, oh, that's a full grown man. No, that's not a full grown man. It's still a young boy. But it pleases me because at the end of the day, I am quite aware of the bigger game being played as far as the one world government. And it pleases me to see that young men, young boys, young women, young ladies are still patriotic, still nationalistic to a certain degree. Now, granted, our nation has some problems still, but these problems are rectifiable given enough time. But that's one thing that we are getting very short on, folks, is time. Yet again, I just want to throw it out there that I did post a video last night, and after posting said video, a good friend of mine contacted me and said, you might want to remove that. And I did. It was a good call. I was, just a little sleepy or tired or something last night. I don't know. But it was poor judgment on my part. I would never put up any content like that to where people's phone numbers or addresses or anything like that would be displayed, at least on my channel. You know what I'm saying? That's just the type of operation I row. And that's just where I'm at with that. So, moving on to Black history topics and ideals. This information is coming from Septia Legacy Black History website fan page. So we're just going to scroll through here. The first black female major general in the U.S. Army. Well, I will never heard of her. It's always sad for a loss of life. All right. General Harris. Mercenette J. Harris, the first black female major general in the U.S. military, buried in Arlington Cemetery. What a loyal patriot, true American hero. Hold on, I'm gonna.
That's how you brew it.
My king, this corn syrup was just delivered.
That's not ours. We don't brew Bud Light with corn syrup.
Miller Lite uses corn syrup.
Let us take it to them at once. Oh, brewers of Miller Lite.
I don't advocate Miller Lite. If you choose to drink, I totally suggest drinking 211. It's a man's beer with a hell of a kick. The taste is quite unpleasant. I will be honest with that. But after a while, you get used to it. Now let's get back to the show.
Major General Mercenette Harris didn't envision making history. She just wanted to be the best, serving in the Air Force, repairing planes in Vietnam. She told an audience at BET's 2010 award show that she was determined to break barriers.
It was wonderful. They said a woman can't do this job. Being told that I couldn't do a job just because I'm a woman, that's probably the silliest thing you ever heard.
She quickly moved up the ranks, becoming the first female aircraft maintenance officer and one of the first 2 women commanding at the Air Force Academy. By 1995, she was the first black woman to earn the rank of Major General. Harris retired in 1997 as the highest-ranking female officer in the Air Force and the highest-ranking black woman in the Department of Defense. She worked in the White House under 4 presidents. Her daughter, Tanisha, remembers.
When doors were closed because of the fact that she was a woman or a black woman, it rattled something in her because she just saw herself as a military officer doing a job that was in front of her.
Harris died in September at the age of 75. On Thursday, this American hero who'd achieved her goal of being the best was buried in Arlington National Cemetery with full honors.
She earned it. She did that. She made that happen. And holy cow, that's my mom.
Wow, what a proud, hold on. I don't want to hear that crap. What a proud daughter. And rightfully so, you should be very proud of your mother. Very proud of her, indeed. Let's have just a moment of silence. Thank you all. Forgotten presidential candidate from 1904. The Extraordinary Life of George Edwin Taylor and what it could tell about us all. I'm assuming it would say all after about. Never really heard of the guy. 1904. I would say he's dressed incredibly well. Double-breasted, bow tie, top hat, long coat. Yeah, he was a wealthy man indeed. Hold on one second. Let me I have to constantly adjust my stuff because unlike other shows, I have no funding for basically help. And my 2 helpers over there are too busy playing with Barbie dolls to manage the computer and or the camera. So in Venezuela, white supremacy is the key to Trump's coup. Wow. I've heard about this story, but I don't want to get off top. I want to share Black history. We did that yesterday, guys. Okay. Baltimore, excuse me. Baltimore County African American Culture Festival. Looks like it would be really interesting. You know, a lot of, I wonder what's this brother saying.
Tell us we shine a light on our purpose, preserved our legacy, and without question, rock the house. I was raised to understand that every month was Black History Month. That every day, my ancestors, contemporaries, and dreamers like myself can, shall, and continue to make history. I would realize through the education I received from my parents and my own travels that Robert Johnson, Louis Armstrong, Sarah Vaughan, and Slick Rick were one and the same. Native storytellers who shine a light on our purpose, preserved our legacy, and without question rocked the house. Some might argue that this here scribe is talking a whole lot of jazz, but anyone fly enough and culturally astute enough to listen will hear what I'm saying. We are here from the beginning, forever. We continue to rise.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I mean, you know, that's one thing that humankind has the greatest hope in, and that is always rising from a diminished state to a more enlightened state. And I can totally get behind that. That's awesome. Okay, let's go to this. Is Anthony Watson always posts some really good stuff. Did you know that when slave worked the Sunday, did you know that when slaves worked the Sunday service, they wore white gloves because the congregations did not want to touch the slaves during the offering? Oh my God. I'm sorry. As soon as I remember as a boy, you know, every church service, my father's a preacher or whatnot. And yes, the white gloves were always in the house. Did you know that's the reason why the one hand behind your back custom was implemented was so that the slaves could not steal the. Oh, that's dirty. No, I did not know that. Yeah, for the TV viewers out there, hold on, let me scooter over. Which way is over? Hopefully you can see it all. That's that's pretty messed up. Now I heard a lot of good things about this Klansman movie, but more to the point, what is up with this renewed failed ideology that in some way, shape, or form things are going to change physically without a psychological change, without the way we fundamentally think? Unfortunately, guys, we're at a disadvantage. I mean, if you want to talk nationalistic terms or whatnot, we're at a disadvantage because the very language we use, honestly, is not quote unquote our native tongue. But then what is a native tongue? What is the meaning of, well, seriously, the meaning of one's true national origins? If you follow any religious script or science, it would suggest that we all came from the same origins. What am I saying is ultimately this: there's only one race on the planet. That's called human race. Period. The differences that we physically see are differences, true. But in time, hopefully you all understand that these differences means nothing. In time, I hope you understand. Sandy T. Alexander. Oh, this is, I think, where we kind of stopped off the other day. And we're just going down in time. You know, this is a little time travel. But guys, listen. When people use terms like biracial, interracial, they're saying a lot more than what they think they're saying. Now, I want to break it down and be quite blunt with this. There's either one humanity or there's no humanity. There's either we're on top and they're on bottom, or we all come up together. That's all there is. Because right now, see, our minds have been focused or basically conditioned to believe that, at least here in America, if you have one drop of black blood in you, you're black. That's just what traditionally has been going down in America. That is so telling because that tells you who's truly in control. The people determining these basically limit on blood and DNA. But what happens when the pendulum turns? And people are no longer saying one drop makes you black, but people are saying one drop makes you white. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying. We're going on this eternal ups and down on a roller coaster. And we don't jump off this ride. The ride only produces three things. That's all this ride will ever produce: envy, greed, and hate. Now, you can quantify them any way you want. You can say, oh, no, we don't hate them. Here's the litmus test for anybody that says they don't hate another race. Here's the litmus test so that we're all crystal clear. You look that person in the eyes. If they're a mother or father, you ask them, well, could someone from a so-called another race marry your child or daughter with your blessing? If they look at you cockeyed, or if they don't even answer the question, then you should know who you're dealing with. I was talking to CI today, and here's the skivvy. As long as we basically consciously concede power to this system, it will never ever change. Once again, it's not about money and it's not about working hard. It's about thinking hard and coming up with a plan. You cannot change your physical condition without first changing your psychological precepts. For many of us, this is impossible. We're too far into the game. For many of us, it's impractical. We're too financially tied to our ideology. I'm telling you guys, the truth is the truth. And either you're going to be united in common purpose and cause, or you're going to be divided in common purpose and cause. And that will only benefit the small people who are actually in charge of this thing and running it. Now, a lot of people don't want to hear that because it's terribly unpopular. It's terribly unpopular to say, hey, we are all brothers and sisters. What do you want? You want to eat? I just fed you. I just gave you some food. Oh, I'm having a riot up here. I built a wall in the kitchen, and illegal kids are trying to break in and steal all my cookies. What? You want a cookie?
Yeah, I'll cookie too.
And you want a cookie as well?
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta take a cookie break. This a second. Let me get these girls some cookies, and then I can continue on with my rant. But you leave my gate alone. I have this here for a reason. No, stay out. Stay back. I'll bring the cookies to you out. And I won't put it in a box. All right. Yes. Here's a cookie for you. And here's a cookie for you. All right, you guys are cool now? All right. Good. All right. Now, now that the masses have been subjugated with cookies, we can continue. Basically, what I'm saying is this here, guys. If we don't get a hold of our spiritual destiny, then honestly, we don't deserve a bright future. We deserve for these human-hating perverts to rule us. We deserve to be utterly decimated by disease that they will unleash, utterly decimated by the economic collapse that they will orchestrate, and utterly devastated by the EMP blast that will truly send most of us into the dark age. Because a lot of young folks, and old folks for that matter, are not utilizing the internet correctly. They're not printing off PDF pamphlets for survival. They're not researching different ways out of the regions in case of emergencies. No, but they know everything about all this stuff on TV. You know, if I ask them something about whatever show, oh yeah, I know. But if I ask them, hey, what plant out here in your backyard can you possibly eat in an emergency situation? Oh, I don't know. I just go to Walmart, Costco's, Ralph's, Albertsons. That's where I get my food from. Guys, food is going to be shortened here soon. Straight up. Hold on. I want to take this real quick break. I want to post this. Well, I'm going to take this one and post it down. Cobra Immortal has been nominated to perform at a music festival, and he needs some votes. You know, go to the webpage, put a thumbs up for the brother so that he can, get his career, a little more out in the limelight, good brother, supporter of the show, So that's what I'm saying. We have to help where we can. All right. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a U.S. citizen, but I am a lover of humanity. I am on Team Human. I am on Team Human that worship God. that believes that God is the ultimate authority on everything. He allows for all this to go. Well, I'll give you another one in a minute now. Hold on. No, stop, you. Stop. But the thing is, guys, if we can reconcile our religious faith with our civic obligation and duty, that is the balance you need. Yeah, baby, hold on. That is the balance you need. You don't need to be overzealous with any type of doctrine taking away a person's right to either worship or not. For one, I don't think it's even possible. But two, only thing that is a truly brutal regime. And no one wants that. I know there's a lot of hatred out there and animosity towards people of the Christian faith or people of the Muslim faith, Islamic faith. You know, not so much hate for the Buddhists and New Agers, Satanists, Luciferians, Hindus. Now I know the Hindus do have some issues, you know, and you think I'm lying. There was once a time you would have been murdered if you would have went to India talking about, I'm going to make me a hamburger or cut up a T-bone steak. And that's just facts. So whenever we get to that point to where our religious ideology or our cultural norms are taken to such a degree that anyone basically crosses the line, they end up dead, that's a problem. That's a problem. Because I'm here to tell you, there's not one culture that's been on earth that's worthy of glorification yet. There hasn't been one. Every society and government and empire and kingdom has its issues. None have been perfect. So therefore, if they're not in existence now, then why go back to them? Why go back to these old ways? Try something new. Try something truly sustainable. For instance, do I agree with global warming? No, I don't. But I don't agree with polluting groundwater and contaminating land with hog confinements in Iowa either, just so that Chinese firms can make a huge sums of money and send it back to China, while us downstream had to eat and drink and smell that fecal material. That's not a win-win. That's a win-lose. And a lot of us have been winning and a lot of us have been losing. I mean, some of us have been winning, but a lot of us have been losing. The point is, we can work together, and not in a socialistic or communistic way. I'm talking about purely democratic, truly republic, because I'm more about a republic than a democracy any day of the week. Because a democracy, it sounds great on paper. It really, really does, until the wrong people get in power, and then they'll just change the laws to suit their purpose. We're a republic, though. The beauty on that, once we come to that accord in the beginning, this is how all people will be treated. Now, granted, in America, that has never been implemented like that. Even though it's on paper, it's never been implemented like that. And that's the tragedy. That's the tragedy. That's how you know that the people who put America together spiritually, I'm not talking about the physical, white, rich, slave ownerment. I'm not talking about that aspect. I'm talking about the spiritual aspect. The truthful aspect of it was right on time, man. Talking about you should have freedom of religion. You should have freedom of speech. You should have freedom of owning property. You should have freedom of conscience, basically. But that's not how it was applied, was it, guys? You didn't have freedom of speech. You didn't have freedom of property. In fact, that's been taken away from all of us, the right to own property. If you think I'm lying, stop paying taxes on your home for 3 years and see if that will not be in the third year sold on your county courthouse steps on an auction to the public. So therefore, you do not own that. You're merely leasing it from the government. And then that brings us into the whole point that right now, there's some changes going, and I'm going to tie this back to Black history because I really don't want to be considered as going off topic here. There's a lot of people who are now running around here without cash for obvious reason. Credit cards, some use phone apps, And they're doing all of this to basically get us ready for that next step. Guys, money's about ready to go bye-bye. It is. It is about ready to go bye-bye. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this year. I'm not saying it's going to happen next year. I'm not going to say it's going to happen anytime in the near future. But just as sure as the Social Security card that's in your back pocket used to say not used for identification purposes, now anything of any significance you have to put that number down on. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know right now that things are getting ready to get weird. And if you don't prepare for it, you're going to be caught up in a very, very bad scene. You know, a lot of people are fed up.
That's my dad a cookie.
She's eating a cookie. Well, she should be eating a cookie. I gave it to her. A lot of people are fed up with the way the government appears to be favoring so-called poor people with welfare or food stamps or welfare, blah, blah, blah. You got to understand that's only designed for one purpose, to spark that animosity between the working poor and the poor. That's all that's there to do. The middle class people, the super rich people are not tripping on those issues. See, this goes back to the social pecking order. The only reason why we have the homeless at the bottom is so that the poor could be like, okay, so that the poor could be like, oh, well, at least we're not like them. And then you have, yes. Okay, I'll get you another one, but give me a second. The poor are like, we're not homeless. And then the working poor are like, well, at least we're not poor because we can go out, and do a couple things. And then the middle class are like, well, at least we're not working poor because, I have 401k. And then the rich are like, I am just so happy all those clowns are over there talking about those non-issues and not focus on, hey, why are we suffering while this guy over here has all of this money just hoarding it? How come we don't, that show, remember that show called Hoarders? The old lady with the boxes all the way up to the ceiling with just a path to maybe her bedroom or something. We point fingers at a person like that, and you're a very bad person. But no one ever points the finger at a rich person, which is essentially a money hoarder, and say, you're a bad person. No. They got this thing so wired together to where you're going to be, no, I want to be like you. No, well, you're not going to be like them. You should know this by now. You don't get to be wealthy by chance. You don't get to be wealthy by accident. You're either born into it or you're ordained into it, meaning that you join some secret society somewhere. And that's now, how does this all go back to Black history? Because the reality, folks, is Black history pertaining to these United States of America is American history. There really should not be any separation. These stories should be shared in all of the history books, just like everybody else. But the fact that we have to go out of our way to share this information lets you know in a very real and fundamental ways some of the same repressive forces are still in power. Like I was telling Cobra, man, racist people in themselves are not the problem. Racist people who are policymakers and can affect social change in the public arena. Now, those are the problem, because those are the people that can make laws that will allow redlining to take place legally again. Those are the people that can make laws that are Jim Crow-like. Those are the people that, when it's all said and done, can ensure that the cop that brutally and savagely maybe shoots someone who's unarmed stays on the force and continues to victimize and brutalize other people moving forward. But you ain't very going to deal with those people. You know why? Because the way this thing's set up, you can't deal with them directly. I wish more people would actually listen to that video from dictatorship to democracy and really understand what James Sharp was really trying to tell us. He's putting it out there. The only way to effect true change, the only way, is to, one, show people how it can personally help them. Personally, I mean, here's the kick, guys. You can talk all this sweet stuff to the ear you want. You can talk all that stuff that gets the soul just fired up, man. But there's no monetary gain from that information. It's gonna fizzle out like a match. That's all it is. You just light a match versus lighting a furnace that has plenty of gas or wood or coal to keep it sustained. A lot of us is running around here just lighting our little match. Now, granted, some light up a whole box at one time. Most of us only strike one at a time. But it's still unsustainable and not effective. Whereas the people in power, they got a gas furnace blowing 24/7. Now, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? I tell you how you deal with it. You start messing with the person who controls that thermostat. You get in their heart and you get in their mind. And they'll turn that heat down for you. See, you go out there and you try to attack the gas line, they got all kinds of soldiers there that'll wipe you out. You go down there and try to attack the furnace unit itself, they got all kinds of security there that'll wipe you out. You run over there and try to touch that thermostat, they got all kinds of policemen to wipe you out. So what am I saying? You got to identify who can turn down the thermostat. You holler at them. You get them on your team, and your problem solved. And obviously, the problem that we all face collectively on the whole planet, not just in our country or in various nations, it's a lack of human unity, a lack for commitment towards your fellow man, woman, and child, saying, look, I am strong and I will protect you from those that would do us harm. That's what it takes. That's all it takes. It really is just that simple. One thing I love about history, when we really start looking into it, you start seeing that these people, when you look into their faces and you realize what they are and who they are just human beings. The same God that put you on this planet, put the woman on the planet, put the dog on the planet. The same God that made the planet, who arranged all the stars in the sky, who allows all the secret societies to do their secretive things in the dark. He's still in control. He's still running it. How can you say that? Look from where you came from. Wasn't that many years ago, my friend, that a lot of the stuff that a lot of people are talking about and saying would not have been said or talked about. We are changing as a society. We are growing as a people. And all I got to say is that we got to continue to grow. And we got to continue to evolve on a social level. Hey, come on, get out of there. Leave her alone. Stop yelling at her. That's your sister. I know, but she's not hurt nothing. Just stop yelling at her. The cool thing about it is we do have that shot to do it. We do have that opportunity to make a world that we desire. And you're like, well, how do we have this opportunity? How can we have that? I can tell you how. 1, we stop blaming others for our own shortcomings. 2, we actively seek out others like ourselves to actually build meaningful networks with. And 3, you get in your head right here, right now. You don't need education. You don't need monetary compensation. What you truly need is absolute and total liberation. Period. In other words, you need freedom. We all need freedom. From the plantation owner to the straw boss and to the field slave. Everybody needs freedom. Because like I said, if you're not right in your heart, I can give you $1 billion trillion. But guess what? You're still going to be corrupt and you're still going to be debased. Come here. You want a cookie? Yeah. All right, we'll go over here and sit down and I'll go get you a cookie. But you got to sit there for 5 minutes and I'll get you a cookie. Do you want a cookie? Yeah. Well, you just sit down right there for 5 minutes and I'll get you a cookie. Yeah, sit down and then be good. You see how you do that? Most human beings are like these two kids here. They're very compliant. If given proper choices that they see some sort of personal benefit. Adults are the same way. Of course, I could walk down the street, I could tell any adult in the world, and I guarantee you 99.9% would do if I did it just like this. I need you to sit down on the sidewalk. I don't care how dirty it is. I actually show them, I have $200 here. I'll give you $200. You sit down for 5 minutes and don't say a word. I don't care who it is. They will sit there, butts down, and they will shut up and they'll get that bread. You see why? Because we have been indoctrinated to believe that money is the answer. When money in actuality is just a tool. You get money to get a home, to get the woman, to have the babies. The woman and the baby is the ultimate goal. Money is just a tool. But see, our problem is we have been so utterly deceived that money in itself is the goal. And then once we ascertain that, most people really don't want to be around you. Oh, I mean, they'll be around you. They'll tolerate you, obviously, for the money. And you'll consciously know this. And that's what will eat your soul up. And that's why, well, look at that one guy out there in Las Vegas, the rich guy. Well, why would he do that? Why would he do that? Because he's sick in the head. He's sick in the heart. You can't fix that with money. Why do you think millionaires give psychics and give gurus and give priests and give imams so much money? Why do you think these rich people do that? Because these imams, these preachers, these gurus, these ascendant masters, they can touch on a spiritual aspect to this individual to get them out of that deep, dark sickness at the end. And not everybody can do that. That's why. Guys, we are so close. We have been so close so many different times of being utterly annihilated. Totally taken up off this earth. But yet we always come through. We always manage to somehow in the end make it happen. Because God's not finished dealing with us yet. That's why. And it's so true. Oh, wow. Hold on. I want to give this announcement. Georgia Air National Guard, first black female pilot set to deploy. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. See, I'm a big Air Force fan. Not going to lie. I love the other services as well. They all have their mission to achieve. But let's face it, guys, without air superiority, ground, and sea operations, highly difficult in this day and age. Okay, girls. All right. There's one more point before I go. They are really getting upset. Where's the dog at? You guys want to take the dog for a walk? Yeah. Go outside and get some fresh air. All right, let's just leave the conversation where it's at for now, but there will be more tomorrow. I'll start off with the Black history, and once again, history is history. As long as it's truth, it's relevant. And I wish all history was considered total history. You know, like yesterday, the guy was talking about Babylon. Everyone always goes back to Babylon for these mystery ancient religions, where we all know that Babylon got their information from Egypt, we got their information from Nubia, which got their information from the Most High. So, once again, when we're dealing with this concept of race and religion, you have to realize the reason why a lot of the world hates you, they don't like you, they envious of you, they want to destroy you. Just remember this: Satan can't beat up Daddy, but Satan sure as heck can mess up the kids. On that note, I just want to say, live your life with integrity, without hate, envy, and greed. Let's try to be kind to each other. Peace.